Caleb, we're going to get into the two deep, my man. And we want feedback from you guys if you agree or disagree on our message board. So let's take a look at the two deep. And if you want to kind of follow along or you want to read about it, it is on offthehooksports.com. So pretty big undertaking. And we feel pretty good about this. So as far as the two deep, where do you want to start? Do you want to start on the offensive side or defensive side? And then you can present to me, and I'll tell you if I disagree, because this column was written by our one and only Caleb Calhoun. So
let's start with offense.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. I was gonna say let's start with offense. I didn't.
Okay. So we will start with offense as we project the depth chart, the two deep depth chart for 2023. So let's start with offense. I'll tell you if I agree or disagree, and I might have some of my fun new drops because you know how juvenile that I can be, even pushing 50. All right, so Caleb, what do you got?
All right, so quarterback.
Oh, and by the way, I forgot to say, here's what you need to do if you want to be a part of the program in the future. And also if you want to get notifications, turn your notifications on. But Jacob Warren, what do they need to do?
What's up, everybody? This is Jacob Warren asking you to like, subscribe, and share. Dave needs this.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Jacob. I do need that. So we need you to like and subscribe. All right. So what do you got for me? Let's start on offense. You go. And I'm going to tell you if I agree or disagree via drops.
All right, so quarterback, I don't think any controversy. Joe Milton is the number one, and Nico, where's the sound effect, Dave? Nico
yes,
is number 2 on the depth chart. I don't think Gaston Moore is going to be in the two deep, guys. Sorry.
I agree. Hey now. Go ahead.
All right, running back. Now, here's the first twist. I got Jabari Small as the starter, the feature back. But I got Dylan Sampson taking the number 2 back role from Jalen Wright, guys.
I love what you're doing with Sampson. I do. So yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I think that Dylan Sampson is the next superstar at Tennessee. Hey now.
All right. Wideout. The number 1 wideout's going to be Brew McCoy. Anybody disagree with that? You've agreed that he's the best NFL prospect on offense, right?
Yes.
Okay. Number 2, and this isn't set in stone, but I think Ramel Keaton is going to hold on to the number 2 wideout spot. And I think Dante Thornton Jr. will be the first wideout right off the bench behind McCoy and Keaton. And then 4th, and here's my big one, Caleb Webb and Chaz Nimrod were earlier recruits, but I think Nathan Leacock has moved ahead of them. So I think he's going to be he's a freshman. I think he's the 4th wide receiver on the depth chart.
So you think Thornton will play on the outside? Because we're just talking about we're talking about the wideouts, not the slot receiver that Jalen Hyatt played last year.
We're going to get to the slot spot. I think Thornton can play in either spot, so I think he'll be the first off the bench in both spots.
That's crazy.
I've got Thornton above Keaton. If he plays on the outside, I've got Thornton above Keaton, and so does Tracy Morgan.
Okay, wow.
Right,
you know what's funny is I was the Dante Thornton as Kevin Durant in this offense, but that's when I thought he was going to be the starter in the slot. The wideout, I think, is a pure wideout. Keaton's better. But in the slot, I've got Squirrel White starting, and again, I've got Thornton as the number 2 slot guy. So Thornton will be the first off the bench at wideout or slot, which is why he'll see a good bit of action.
Do we agree, Hank Kingsley? Hey now. Yes, we do. All right, tight end.
All right, tight end. Dave, we know you need the subscriptions. Jacob Warren needs the starts. So,
yes.
Everybody, this is Jacob Warren asking you to like, subscribe, and share. Dave needs this.
Okay.
Going to be the starter at tight end.
You got Jacob Warren and McAllen Castles.
Yes, I do. I have McAllen Castles because Miles Campbell's transferred. I believe in Ethan Davis, but I've heard enough stories that he's very, very, very raw. And with Princeton gone, I don't think he's going to be able to be the backup tight end this year. I think next year he moves ahead of everybody and becomes a starter. But I think this year, Warren and then a veteran and McAllen Castles will be the 2 guys.
I'm going to lightly disagree because I haven't heard enough great stuff about Castles. Okay. I haven't heard anything bad. I'll tell you if I hear any reason that I don't think he will play. But I think that there's a possibility they would go 4 wide when Jacob's not on the field. And I think there's a possibility that you would like Ethan Davis because of his athleticism. So I'm not downing Castles. I'm just unsure about Castles, but it is May. All right. So
what we largely agree is this year it's not going to be a by committee tight end set. It's going to be Jake Warren or 4 wide for most of the time.
I would think, yeah, it was pretty much 50-50. They swapped series last year, Princeton fan and Jacob. So I don't think you're going to see that. All right, so let's run through the offensive line.
All right, left tackle. I did not think this was going to work out, but I've heard enough good reports that I think John Campbell Jr. takes over at left tackle this year with Jeremiah Crawford as the backup.
Yeah, I pretty much know that to be true. Hey now. Keep rolling.
Right. Left guard, Texas transfer, Andres Carrick. I think he takes over the starting job at left guard, and Ollie Lane is a longtime veteran, so I think he'll still be the backup left guard.
I'm going to give that both a hey now and
that's crazy.
I think Addison Nichols would be the backup at left guard.
Okay.
I think he'd be the backup at all the guard positions because I think they're a little light there. All right.
Even despite Ollie Lane's experience, because Ollie Lane's played a lot. You think?
Yeah, I just feel like somebody I talked to actually yesterday, coincidentally enough, that it would be Nichols. But if they had two guys go down, which is very possible in the SEC, I think Lane's right there. But go on to center.
Okay, so my center, and this is why I didn't have Addison Nichols in the guard spots. I've got the obvious Cooper Mace starting at center, but then I've actually got Addison Nichols as the backup center. And I think they're going to want to get him as many reps at center as possible so he's ready to go in case Mace gets hurt.
I believe that's absolutely correct. Hey now. All right.
And so right guard, you're probably going to disagree with me on this because you did with left guard. You'll agree with the starter, Javonte Spraggins. But again, I think because Ollie Lane will be the first guard off the bench behind Carrick or Spraggins. So I got him as the backup again at right guard.
Okay. I could roll with that the same way I did left guard. All right. Right tackle.
And right tackle, Gerald Mincy moved over. I think he's going to be the starter there. And I think he's not Darnell Wright, but I think he's a potential star. So I think he's going to be the starter. And Jeremiah Crawford is going to back up John Campbell Jr. and Gerald Mincy. He'll be the first tackle off the bench behind Campbell and Mincy.
My thoughts on left tackle are this. First portions of the program brought to you by Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. I do not have any problems with my eyesight far away or up close, and it's pretty awesome. So you need to check them out. And Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn also has the vision centers to take care of you, and their vision centers are simply awesome. As far as right tackle, it's going to be a fall off there, but I think that's the absolute direct decision that Tennessee will go in. All right. Do you want to turn it to defense now?
Yep. And they finally seem to have the depth they need at defense. We'll start with edge rusher, which, as you know, edge rusher and defensive end are a little bit different. The edge rusher could play with his hand down or his hand off, and it just depends on what they want to do in the moment. I think the starter for that one will be Roman Harrison. I know we all believe in Joshua Joseph's long-term potential, but Mike Eckler all but basically said Roman Harrison was ahead of everybody in spring camp, and I don't think he's a veteran. He was third on the team in tackles for a loss last year, so I think Harrison holds it. Joseph is right behind him.
Okay. I can roll with that. I'll give that a big hey now. All right.
Defensive tackle, Amari Thomas is obviously the top defensive tackle. We agree with that. And then I'm going Bryson Eason will be the number 2 guy, Karat Garland, the number 3 guy, and DeJoun Terry, number 4. And for the record, Elijah Simmons, Nathan Robinson, and Arizona State transfer Omar Norman Lott will all be part of the rotation. I think the 3 main guys will be Amari Thomas, Bryson Eason, and Karat Garland.
Elijah Simmons is the X factor. He has the ability, if he gets mean and aggressive, he could, I'm not comparing him to Reggie White, okay? But, Reggie White was soft a little bit his junior year and then had a fantastic senior year. So if you see that sort of jump, I think he has that sort of ability. He could be the guy at the end of the year that, if he has the right mentality we're talking about, is the breakout player on this football team. I believe that. I'm not saying it'll happen because mentality is a big part of the game, but it could happen. So I would add that in there for a little bit of context. What else you got?
Okay. Would you say Thomas and Eason will be the main starters in the middle, though?
Unless Simmons just suddenly goes crazy.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the other edge rusher,
Thomas definitely. I mean, if Simmons comes out of this, if Simmons just gets darn angry, and I remember Albert Haynesworth, Jeff Fisher told him, he said, "You just got to get so angry and during a game," that because he lacked a little bit of that to play hard all the time. Now, it resulted in him raking his cleats across the Dallas Cowboys offensive lineman's face, which was bad. But if Simmons turns into that, where he gets angry at football, the guy that's across from him at life during those 60 minutes, then that's the X factor on the defensive line and maybe the entire team.
For Davis patches a Houlihan from dodgeball. You got to get mean. You got to get angry.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He needs to look over and see his wife with another man and his kids giving him the bird. That's what he needs. Go ahead.
Exactly. All right. So the other edge rusher, this is, I separate the Leo versus the defensive end because the defensive end is the guy on the other side who plays always with his hand down. And I've got Tyler Barron starting there with Byron Young gone, and I think Tyree West is going to back him up this year. And so I got Tyler Barron and Tyree West.
I will give that a big
Hey now.
That's absolutely correct. What else?
All right, Mike linebacker. Aaron Beasley resuming his role that he had last year. And I've heard a few things, particularly from Josh Ward, that Elijah Herring will be his backup this year.
I can see that. I don't think you want Aaron Beasley to get hurt, though.
Yes.
If there were three guys, and obviously the quarterback is always one with any team. And then if I made a list of three guys, Beasley might be the one guy that. But you got Healy too. But go ahead, continue with the list.
Yeah. So on the weak side, which is replacing the role Jeremy Banks had, I've got Keenan Peely as the starter. But this is where you can afford an injury because I think the guy backing him up, Arian Carter, young guy, but I'm hearing a lot of good things about him.
See, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I think, and this is based off me watching their tape, and I'll do a little digging to have some better insight next week. I think that Peely seems like a more natural fit at Mike, and then maybe you get Arian Carter and you just said his name,
and Elijah Herring or
no
Aaron Beasley.
Yeah, maybe put Beasley on the outside, possibly. I'm just throwing that out there. Nothing I've been told.
Okay. I mean, I feel like Beasley was sent on a lot more rushes last year and was even less reliable in coverage than Banks, even though Beasley was a natural safety. But we'll see. So that's the only reason I had him at Mike.
Yes.
Because I think weak side has to be in coverage a little bit more.
Okay.
So cornerback. Now, this is my going all out there. I think Jordan Matthews becomes the number one cornerback. The freshman out of Louisiana, I think he becomes the number one cornerback, and I think he finally becomes what Josh Heupel has been looking for this whole time.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Possibly. I think that there's a realistic chance of that. And I think he could be Tennessee's shutdown corner that they've been missing for so long. What else you got?
And the number two corner will be Gabe Judy Lally, the other BYU transfer on the other side. I think he's a fundamentally sound cornerback, the guy that can guard the number two receiver, but is just not athletic enough to guard the number one receiver. And that's where I got him.
That's crazy.
I think Gabe Judy Lally is going to be the backup at almost every position in the secondary.
All right, so who starts? Well, do you think my third guy starts at the other spot, which is Warren Burrell, who returns from injury?
Hey now.
Yes, I do.
Okay. And the fourth cornerback on this is I have Kamal Hadden.
Yeah, he's a dude.
All right.
I don't want to say anything bad about him, man. He's fine. He seems like a great young man.
He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know what I need to do?
Why don't you shut the hell up?
Go ahead. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to run a kid down.
All right, at the star position. All right, I'm going to be a little mean here, but Tamarian McDonald was a starter all last year. I don't think he's in the rotation this year. I'm sorry. I just think he was so awful last year. I'm sorry, Tamarian. I hope I didn't sabotage a negotiation you had with him on the show, but
no. So but we're not going to say this about any player.
You suck.
Okay. But seems like you're close to that. So I want to get far away from that. He's a fine young man. He's doing a great job.
Okay. Dave is the participation trophy guy.
Well, we'll see.
So Danico Slaughter I have he started a little bit at corner last year. I think he's going to move over to star this year and start at star. And
I would have Slaughter actually at that other cornerback position. So, but again, I'm not. I'll give you insight when I have it. I'm just looking at skill set. I'm not saying that he's going to be that, but based off anything I've been told. But That just seems like that way it's skill set. Go ahead.
That's possible, but I thought with Burrell and Gabe Giuliani, neither who played last year, they would take it. But you might be right. But I have Slaughter starting at start, and then I have Brandon Turnage right behind him. Turnage backed up Theo Jackson a couple of years ago, and then his one start was SEC Defensive Player of the Week. I think he might get that role back this year.
Okay, so I'm much higher on Slaughter than you are, and I think Gabe Giuliani is going to be a utility player across the secondary and very valuable. So even if he doesn't start, I think at the end of the year you're going to look at him and say that's a very important player because somebody's going to get hurt at some point, or
that's true,
suspended because some drunken idiot comes into their girlfriend's room,
and they don't realize how strong they are, and they throw a punch and accidentally break their face.
But other than that, all right, what else we got?
All right, so at strong safety, no surprise, Jalen McCullough is the starter. And I think and my shock is that I think Jordan Thomas takes the backup role. The reason is a lot of people talk about Andre Turntine, but based on things you told me and things I've read, it just doesn't seem like he's figured it out.
That's crazy.
I'm taking Gabe Giuliani
as the back. So you got him as the backup just all across the board.
I really do. Yeah,
okay.
I think he's a smart guy. He's going to learn all the positions, and I think he's definitely going to be the backup of the two safety positions. And in a pinch, he would be able to do so at cornerback.
All right, and
that's
then my free safety is the utility defensive back of last year, and the guy who I thought really emerged towards the end of the year, and that's Wesley Walker. I think is going to replace Trayvon Flowers at free safety.
Hey now,
love that.
And behind him will be the son of Rodney Harrison, Christian Harrison, who I feel like is football smart. And if there's one position in the secondary that, I mean, they all require football smarts to a degree, but the one that requires the most football smarts is free safety. So I think Christian Harrison will be ready.
Say wham.
I'm with that.
All right.
I'm trying to figure out a way to work in that draw, but that one may go away. All right. Do we have anybody left, or are we good?
Well, special teams, I think Charles Campbell starts at kicker. Jackson Ross, the rugby dude, starts at punter. And Dylan Sampson will be the kickoff returner, while D. Williams is the punt returner. And don't underestimate this, guys. Matthew Solansky is the long snapper. With Morgan Cox still in the NFL, Tennessee football is long snapper you.
It is. It's been punter you. I mean, you just stop by Knoxville and you become an NFL punter. Ask Tommy Townsend.